This is my 2014 Audi S5 that I bought from Copart in the last video for just $3,100. It was listed with front end damage, as you can see from the bumper hanging off, and it was also listed with mechanical damage. Now, because this car only has 82,000 miles, I assumed that the damage could really only be so bad. But unfortunately, when I got the car in my shop and started tearing into it, it became pretty clear right away that this engine was going to need to be rebuilt, as you can see by the fact that the intake camshaft on one of the banks is not spinning together with the engine. The comments made it very clear that trying to rebuild this thing would be a financial disaster, that I should scrap this thing. But I decided to dive in anyway and pull the engine and transmission out of the car. And in this video, I'm not only going to try and rebuild the car, but I'm going to try and do it on a budget, which typically doesn't fit in the same sentence as any Audi with an S in front of the badge. We're also going to tear into the old engine to figure out what exactly went wrong at just 82,000 miles. And by the end of this video, without bankrupting myself, I hope to have this car back on the road, running and driving. Today is a very exciting day in the garage for the S5 project because yesterday a new motor got dropped off here. I got extremely lucky finding this engine for a great deal. I'll tell you about it more in a minute and we'll go over it completely, overhaul the things that it needs, put it in the car and have this thing running by the end of this video. I'm so stoked on this engine. I'll tell you more about it later, but before we do that, I want to tear this one down. This is the original motor from the S5 because I haven't really found why this blew up. So I say we pull off the parts that we actually still need and tear into this cylinder head and especially that back timing cover to see why exactly this thing failed. There are a couple things I need to save off of this engine, mainly the entire wiring harness. Oh my God, there are so many connectors. If this thing ever goes back together, it's gonna be a miracle. All right, couple more doohickeys. There we go. Supercharger. Easy. Pretty carboned up as expected. Perfect. You can see there's quite a lot of carbon buildup in there. These have never been cleaned. On the driver's side, which is the damaged cylinder head, I'm not sure how clear you can see that, but those valves are absolutely bent. So this thing does have bent valves, which is to be expected. Oh, look at that one. Friendly reminder in case this is your first episode here. The reason this happened is because the camshaft is no longer spinning and a bunch of these rocker arms got damaged. They're just flopping around in the engine. Now it's time for the real exciting part, which is this timing cover. Huh, look at that. No slack in the chain at all. I thought this was for sure gonna be timing chain, but that's well tensioned. That, however, oh, this is loose. Wow. This bolt just backed itself out. Look at that. That's crazy. There it comes. So the cam isn't broken. Nothing is broken. It is just this bolt that backed out. Other than that, timing chain is in good condition. The tensioner had a lot of tension on it. There was no play in it. It was literally this bolt that grenaded the whole motor. And well, this is where it's at. Bent valves, broken rocker arms. This motor is probably repairable as long as there's not too much piston damage. Somebody could take the cylinder head off, machine it, put some new valves in, and it would probably be fine. Thankfully, I have a new motor for this that I'm pretty excited about. This engine was a pretty sweet deal. I paid 1,200 bucks for it. It has the supercharger intercooler bricks replaced. It has a new water pump. It's got a 034 Motorsports front main seal, a new alternator, a new oil cooler, and as you can see by the white aftermarket sealant, the timing chains on this were replaced. So for 1,200 bucks, this makes my life extremely simple. the engines of a similar mileage. Basically, all we have to do is swap over all of the wiring from the old car, bolt up our transmission, and put this car back together. That's the plan anyway. Let's see how that goes. I'm gonna start by stripping off everything we don't need off of this new engine, like the power steering pump, because the S5 has an electronic steering rack, as well as all of the old wiring. And I was feeling pretty good about this because for 1,200 bucks, you can't even purchase a new set of timing chains for the old engine. Never mind all the other work that has to be done, like a new cylinder head, new valves, and probably some machine work. With the old engine now stripped down, it's time to reinstall the transmission, and this is actually something I'm pretty excited about. I've never owned a car with a dual clutch transmission, and although you may have seen me manual swap my Volvo V70R, that's because that was a rather unexciting torque converter transmission. This, on the other hand, is a much more direct dual clutch, which works similar to a traditional manual, but it has two automated clutch packs that allow for extremely fast shifts, and I couldn't be more excited to experience this drivetrain paired with the supercharged V6 engine. After that, it was time to attack the puzzle of the old wiring harness on the new engine, which is really made simple by some specific connectors that are quite obvious, like the coil pack connectors. And then from there, things generally land in place, except for the insane rat's nest at the back of the engine. I'm also using extra caution here because once it's back in the car, all of these connectors at the back are pretty much inaccessible without taking the engine back out. This has gone surprisingly smoothly. The puzzle of the wiring harness is slowly coming together. The transmission is seated very nicely. Look at this, man. This is just a crazy setup. It's also wild to think that you basically sit right here and you drive the car like this. My friends over at FCP Euro really came through for me on this project, and they sent over absolutely everything I'm gonna need to get this car back on the road and get it running reliably. We have fresh motor mounts because the originals are torn in half. We have gear oil for the DSG transmission. We have oil for the rear diff. All new control arms for the front end of the car because, as you saw, some of those were just torn. We have these beefy bananas as well. These things are massive. Fresh bushings in there. FCP Euro actually just launched their Cyber Week sale, which goes till December 2nd. It's about taking care of your cars and what matters most. So there's a bunch of brands like these featured in their sales. If you have a project that you're doing over the winter, it's a great time to save some money on maintenance and keep your car on the road reliably. I'll leave them linked down below. And a huge thank you to them for supporting the channel. Time has come. I'm gonna try and put this engine back in the car. I cannot imagine this is gonna be simple. All right, let's go. We're making progress now. Now I'm gonna leave this at this kind of middle stage and try to start getting all this wiring put in the right spot. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know where half of it goes. That looks like a fuel line of some kind. This entire engine harness fuse box situation goes up here. Let's go, baby. Let's go, just like that. I reconnected the shift cables. Now we can go ahead and bolt this transmission cross member back into the car, hopefully. Yes, that's it, first one in. Yes. Is this the second one? Yes. Now with the engine supported by a piece of wood, we can go ahead and bolt on this cross brace to support it. All right, it is downpipe time on the S5. Flip this guy around right there. I have some fresh hardware to go on this downpipe, which is gonna make it much easier to remove in the future, because I definitely wanna do an exhaust on this thing if all is well and we get this thing running. I wanna build something fully custom again, and this fresh hardware is gonna make that a lot easier. Also, a nice fresh gasket from FCP Euro. And then the downpipe can slide right on. I would love to have a lift, man. Doing this stuff on my back is aging me, not quite like fine wine. An open bottle of milk. I think I made my first really big mistake of the project. While I was putting on that downpipe, I saw that I forgot to put the DSG transmission. Oh no, it's spilling oil. I forgot the cooler lines for the dang DSG transmission, man. They're supposed to snake like all the way over the transmission, up and around. This is definitely supposed to happen with the engine out of the car. I might have to pull this thing back out to put these cooler lines in. Not fun, man. Not fun at all. At this point, I must have been pretty motivated to not pull that engine back out, because I spent a couple of hours snaking these DSG cooler lines back over the transmission, around the engine, while everything was still in the car. I did lower the transmission down, which helped quite a bit, but after a couple hours of misery, somehow I did snake these back over the transmission. Somehow, with an insane stroke of luck, I think I got it. I have one last bolt here at the top of the transmission. If this tightens down, we're in business. I really, really thought this engine was gonna have to come back out. Oh yes, it's tight. Let's go, dude. That was the hardest thing I've ever done on a car. 100% putting that transmission oil cooler line back in. Oh my God. This next piece of the puzzle is partially my fault. This is a brand new oil pan. Now I think this did get damaged in shipping. This thing is brand new, should be very nice. The old one is a little bit crushed up, so we're gonna replace this thing. Not a bad thing to have. I'm gonna go ahead and drain whatever oil is in here. You gotta be fucking kidding me. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I'm feeling extremely fucking stupid right now. This oil looks a little milky, I'm not gonna lie. Well, let's pull the oil pan and see if we see anything else. Have you guys ever seen oil that looks like this? What the fuck is that? Oh, and here you can kind of see what the oil pan looks like. It would probably be fine to use, but it's pretty dented in, and I'm gonna replace this. As far as that oil goes, I have no idea what that is. Let's see if we find anything concerning at the bottom of the pan. Let's remove the oil level sensor. Look at this. There's water in this engine. Do you see that? That milky stuff? That should not be in there. Now the only thing that's giving me hope is that, see the oil in the oil cooler port right here? This is perfect. So that means that the water only made it to the pan. I think this collected some water while it was sitting. I don't know how long this engine sat, but if it had water in it while it was running, that oil right there would be milky too, and that looks like perfect dark oil. Completely different to that. Let's take a quick look up in the cylinder head. I mean, if there was milky oil in here, you'd see it there, but we don't. Other than that, thankfully, there are no pieces of anything other than what looks like a little bit of sealant in the pan. Look at how milky this is getting. It looks like there was a puddle of something sitting down here. As bad as this looks, I'm not that worried because of the fact that that oil looks clean. If that oil looked like this too, I'd be much more worried, but I don't think this ever ran with this milky oil in it. And I think that that is water from transporting the engine, from it sitting for a long time, probably between projects. I think it's savable. I think we're gonna just clean this engine out with an oil flush once we get it started, and then hopefully all will be well. Very grateful that this pan was damaged and that I saw this, because otherwise I probably would have just ran it on whatever oil was already in the engine. So anyway, let's put the new pan on, get some fresh oil in here, probably a bottle of engine flush, and we'll go from there. This was the last thing I was expecting to find in the pan, but I was relieved to see that there was no milkshake up in the cylinder head, which gave me some hope. I'm glad I did drop the pan though, because I also found a broken oil pickup tube, which happened to be located exactly where the dent was in the pan. Thankfully, we have our old engine and I was able to steal a good condition oil pickup tube off of that. So let's go ahead and bolt this onto the new S5. There's a little piece here that's still broken off that I gotta remove. I hope I don't get dripped on by all this oil. Here we go. Now with our German approved sealant, we can lay a nice bead. Now if you like Subarus, I know this is stressing you out, but I promise this is gonna work just fine. Can we get a couple of bolts in here? How heavy is this puppy? All right, subframe time, baby. The subframe is in the car, and I'm getting very excited here because the end, or the start of the end, is in sight. I would love to be able to drive this car in this video, and to do that we have a lot of work to do, but the motivation is high right now. I can't wait to rip this thing, see what other problems we run into, because I'm sure there will be more. So with that said, for the first time, this thing is gonna hold the engine under its own weight, and I think it's time to really put my head down and try and get this thing finished up. We just have everything in that pile to put back on the car: the suspension, the front radiator, the whole core support, the drive shaft, the exhaust, and then we're gonna go rip this thing. I got some of the cheapest oil I could find, and we're gonna add some Liquimoly engine flush to it. We're gonna try and start the car on this oil with this flush in it, run it for like 15 minutes, and then we're gonna change the oil to the good oil that I got from FCP Euro. That way I know that some of that gunk that we found in the bottom of the pan and potentially in the engine can be cleaned out. And I mean, we'll see if it comes back. I highly doubt it, but there's only one way to find out. So let's fill this thing up with oil and coolant, and I think we're pretty much ready to try and give it a start, other than a couple small things. If this thing gets to a point today where it starts and runs pretty good, then I will drive it in this video as well. I really want to take this thing out on the road. Here it goes. We're still missing a couple of sensors and things, but hopefully nothing that should stop us from starting it. The only thing I fear that might do that is the lack of brake fluid in the car. But there's only one way to find out, so fill this thing up and see how far we get. This is Liquimoly engine flush. This is something you can add to your oil before you do an oil change, so you do not drive with this stuff in your engine. You put this in before you run your car for 15 minutes, and it'll help to break down deposits and gunk in your engine. Obviously, we don't have all the suspension connected. There's gonna be a ton of aero lights, but let's see if this thing will even crank. All right, before we do anything, I'm gonna try unplugging the camshaft position sensors. This should stop the car from starting because we want to build up some oil pressure first. Oh my God, it's making so many noises. Man, this thing hasn't been alive in so long. Opening the door primes the fuel pump, so just want to make sure we don't smell any gas, and I think we don't. That's good. This thing is going to have so many error lights. Now that sounds like an engine with healthy compression. Now let's plug this stuff back in. Here it goes for real this time. It's gonna be really loud. Let's go, dude. That is what I'm talking about. There's a lot burning off, some steam from the coolant I spilled, but man, it sounded good. It's the next day. I'm so stoked that this thing started, and now I really want to drive the car, and I think we're not that far away. We just have a couple small problems to figure out and some more reassembly to do, including all of the suspension, the drive shaft, the exhaust, and then I'll start it again, take out this engine flush, see if there's any more water in the engine, which would not be good. It's time for the stock air box to go back in. Guys, silicone spray, oh my God, it helps everything. I've been silicone spraying everything on this car and it goes together so much better. Look at that. Come on. Now we can put our intake back in. Time for another test start now that the exhaust is back on and my neighbors won't hate me. We gotta let the engine oil cycle through a little bit to clear out whatever all that gunk was, and then we'll drain it out and do another oil change. But now we can hopefully run it for a little longer with the exhaust on, take a proper listen to it. We still have a check engine light too, so. Oh, it's misfiring a little bit on cold start. Sounds super healthy. That ticking that you're hearing is the high pressure fuel pump. They all sound like that, and this one has an upgraded 034 Motorsports piston, so it's gonna be even a little bit louder. Still misfiring. Let's see here. Give it a little. I'm gonna clear these and see what comes back. Whoa, that's really weird. It's running perfect now. Maybe it was something that needed to be cleared out. It seems to be running perfect now. Okay, we got one engine code now. Ambient air temp sensor circuit high. That's fine, that's probably in the bumper or something. And now I have an O2 sensor code. I thought about buying them. I was like, I'm just gonna spend the 500 and do it while the engine's out. Anyway, we'll figure that out later. So one of the first codes to knock off is this ambient air temp sensor. This is probably the simplest of the codes. The O2 sensor we'll get to later. It's only the heater circuit, so I'm not too worried about it. Replacing all of the control arms on a salvaged car that you don't even know is going to run properly is the definition of probably unnecessary spending. But there was no way that I was going to have all these old arms with torn up rubber bushings this accessible and just put them back on the car. So this is when I got to work with my replacements from FCP Euro, and these are going to make the front end of this car handle like new. Pretty much every rubber bushing in the front end of this car, including the motor mounts, will be new by the end of this video, and it's going to make this thing feel super fresh and nice to drive. I know it's risky at this point since I don't know if the car even drives properly yet, but it was a gamble I was willing to take and hopefully an investment that will make this car run much nicer whenever I do get it back on the road, because I do plan to make this thing absolutely perfect. Time to drain our oil flush here and see if there's water in it. Oh yeah, that's good clean oil. Hopefully this should flush all the rest of it out too. Now we'll throw a quality filter from FCP Euro in here. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the actual last thing to do before we drive this thing is to bleed the brakes. Maybe give it a quick rinse, but this thing is ready for its first ever test drive under its own power. Now I'm going to use one of my favorite tools, which is this power bleeder. You just put a bunch of brake fluid in it, pump it up, it pressurizes the brakes, and then you can just open the brakes and bleed them by yourself. It's honestly one of my favorite things I own. We're gonna start here at the back rear furthest away from the reservoir. Then we're gonna crack this puppy loose, and out comes some nice fresh fluid. These big calipers up front have 2 bleeder ports, so you do the inside one first and then the outside one. These ones are of course full of air. There it comes. Let that bleed for a little bit. Then we can close it up. Now it's time for the outside one. Look at that. As I went late into the night, it was time to drop this thing down on the ground for the first time since it rolled into the garage. And I put these ugly wheels back on just for now to give it a test drive. Again, I didn't want to spend too much money on new wheels and a new bumper before I knew that this thing ran properly, and although I was itching to drive this thing around, I had to wait until the morning, and I didn't want to take the risk of something going wrong and not being able to see properly in the dark outside what went wrong, so I waited till the next morning to go for the very first drive. The last thing that I've been itching to do is this bad boy right here. Oh, yes, dude. Now watch this right here. Whoo! That's what I'm talking about. But it's time to close this thing and see if it'll drive. Well, the car moved out of the garage. I tried washing it last night, but the windshield is cracked and water started pouring inside the cabin, so that didn't work very well. That being said, I haven't driven it yet. I just rolled it out here. It does roll. Time to take this thing for a drive. We have a backup camera, not something I'm used to in the S4. Couple warning lights on the dash, nothing super major right now. We have a light bulb out, a brake pad. It's saying coolant system fault. Whew. Here it goes. No bumper on the car. Oh my God. Here we go. Brakes feel decent. Ooh, brakes feel a little squishy, I'm not gonna lie. They're gonna need some rebleeding. Oh my God, we're going. So many lights on the dash. Ooh, the brakes are bad. Oh my gosh, yeah, I gotta rebleed these brakes. I think we're fine for a little test drive, but we'll do a little pull. We'll do a little pull once it gets warmed up. Oh, it's actually warmed up. Oh my God. Whoa, the transmission shifts quick. What in the world? This is my first time driving a dual clutch transmission ever, other than in a Porsche that I borrowed one time. Oh, supercharger noises. Oh, wow. This is awesome. Oh my gosh. Whoa, this thing is quick, dude. Let's go. Wow, the shifts sound good. I can't believe this is driving right now. I literally, oh, the brakes are not good. I can't believe this is driving right now. So much work went into this thing. Wow, I have to say, this feels a lot different than my S4, which is a B8, and this is a B8.5. They made a lot more changes than I thought. This thing is a completely different car. I can hear some exhaust too, on the stock exhaust. Oh, wow, this is cool. The torque is, oh, suspension fault now too. Oh my God, I hope you guys can hear that. Headlight fault. This is sick. This is unbelievably sick. I really wish I could wash this thing. I love the sound of the transmission. I'm starting to smell some stuff, but I expect things to kind of burn off as we drive. You know, there was a lot of fluid sprayed in that engine, probably like 50 gallons of silicone. I can't believe we're driving this thing right now, dude. This is unreal. Construction zone pull. I'm just kidding. Wow, this sounds good. All right, let's go from a stop here, do a little pull. Is this a bad idea? Let's find out. Wow. That was perfect. I mean, there are so many lights on the dash, but the acceleration was perfect. Yes, dude, yes. Oh my God. This thing was so much work, and now it's actually running and driving. This is everything I could have wanted and more. This thing feels phenomenal. Still needs a ton of work, don't get me wrong, but man, it feels good. Oh my God, why is the throttle so fucking responsive? Can't even cruise it around. I'm gonna put some gas in this thing. Let's take a look at what it looks like from the outside in its current state. Oh, it smells bad. Oh, something's burning. The car still needs a lot cosmetically. It needs a front bumper, it needs new wheels, and it needs a proper detail polish. There are, of course, still some mechanical issues, plenty of lights on the dash, but overall, I think this was a huge success. The car is now running and driving, and honestly, considering all the issues, it feels great, and I just had a ton of fun driving this thing for the first time. If you're not subscribed, please hit that button down below and turn on the bell to get notified about the next episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.